Hello there, welcome back to the shop. For a start, I'd like to just thank everybody that's subscribed to the channel so far. I have been trying a few tricks, bribes and silly headlines on my videos in an attempt to up the numbers, but everybody's seen through that, and the only people subscribed are people genuinely interested, which honestly is really the point. So for those of you who have signed up, do appreciate you following along, and hopefully you get some enjoyment out of these videos. I'm not attempting to make tutorials, just document what I'm doing in my own way. So really good to have you following along, and hopefully a few more people will join in over time. But for the time being, I'm just going to make the videos I want to make, which will be around model engines, things I make, welding, repairs, and just general shop miscellany. So hope you continue to enjoy that and follow along. Today, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about my... Why don't you just shut up and get on with it? Well, okay then. Well, there it is. Beautiful new lathe. As you can see, it's a Summit 1440D. Haven't found any information about Summit on YouTube. Not one of the popular brands that you see in people's home shops, but I've had some good background information on the company, and the specs for this machine seem pretty solid. So what we'll do now is get into an unboxing and see what comes with it and start looking at the features and getting it set up. Can't wait to get this up and running. Little bit of work involved in that because this is a 3-phase machine. I do have an American rotary phase converter here as well that came as part of the package. So I've got to get that installed, but stick around, see what's next. All right, first up, this box. And this is the digital readout. A Newell item, NMS 800, which is their kind of current top of the line, I guess. Don't know a huge amount about these. Made in Great Britain though. So it's got to be good. I'm going to go and get that on the machine. Get this toolbox with it, which is astoundingly similar looking to the toolboxes that come with all the other suppliers of similar lathes. Go figure. Well, actually, it's quite a nice toolbox. And within, oh, this is quite fun, the micrometer stop. A set of Allen wrenches, because yeah, over the years I haven't collected enough Allen wrenches. Whatever this is, and I should probably know what this is, but I don't. But I will find out. Bigger Allen wrenches. The key for the tool post which is never actually going to get used. A couple of wrenches. They don't actually look too bad. and a couple of screwdrivers. Those can go into the miscellaneous screwdriver pile. Here are what must be the change gears. So unlike the larger machines, you do, if you want to run metric in certain pitches, have to change out some of the gears. But that's great, they look nice. Look more closely at those later. And then what I'm assuming are, yep, centers. Two dead centers, both Morse taper 3, and this is a Morse taper 3 to Morse taper 5 adapter for the spindle, so that you can turn between centers. Excellent. Well, so far so good. Pleased about all of this. I just worked out what this is. This is a takeoff part. My machine comes with a taper attachment, and when that's installed, this spacer gets removed to allow room for that. So not something that I need specifically unless I want to take the taper attachment off. Good to have though. Bigger box here, but there's no real mystery about it because it says what it is. This is the 4-jaw chuck that comes with it. Chuck key with spring. That'll be going. There we are. Locking pins. This is a D15 spindle. Jaws all nice and snug in there. Now, DRO install is simple enough since it's all factory set up. This just goes through here. The monitor screen has a protective film on it, that's why the corner looks funky. And there we are, the other as well. Right. So what made me choose this particular machine? I've surveyed all the importers of machinery that I can find. Precision Matthews is way up there in the stakes in terms of ratings because they're well known. A lot of hobby machinists use them. There's a lot of information on the net. There are some very highly skilled machinists like Adam Booth, who has a Precision Matthews machine. He knows what he's doing, and there are plenty of others besides. So they're way up there. But in my research, which you'll see in a separate video, I've discovered that the same basic machines are available through multiple sources. They're not exactly the same, but they seem to be generated from the same base machine. In my research, I discovered a machinery vendor in southern Minnesota called Somin. I wasn't aware of them at first, but I was looking at the Summit website and I contacted them to say, hey, you know, what makes your machine stand out, and can I speak to someone that you've sold machines to, or can I get a demo in some way? And very quickly I was contacted by Somin, who's their local dealer to me, and they invited me down, and I actually went down and tested this machine, this actual one here, not just a 1440D, but this actual machine, I went down, powered it up and was able to run it. Now that's a pretty big deal when you're spending a lot of money, to actually be able to go and see the machine, check it out, look at all the fit and finish, and actually power the thing up. So that was kind of the final decider as to why I got this machine. I've also spoken to a number of people professionally who use or are familiar with Summit machines, and they had good things to say. I ran the specs by a few people that I work with, and they seemed impressed with it. So in the end, that was the direction I went. Kyle down at Somin was really easy to work with, and between us we worked out a very fair deal, which had this priced very equivalent to a Precision Matthews machine, with all the benefits of it being in state where I could see it. And then included in that is that Somin are dealers for American Rotary, and so we worked the purchase of an appropriate phase converter into the whole arrangement. So that's why I went with this machine. It seems like the Taiwanese import machines they're very decent quality. I've seen a lot of good information about this style of machine by other vendors on the internet, able to take large cuts of material in steel and leave a good surface finish, good rigidity, and so it's very sturdy. So that's why I went with this. That's enough waffle about that. Let's start having a look around and see what we've got. In terms of basic specifications, this machine is very similar to a number of other machines on the market, and indeed seems to be based off the same base machine. I will, in one of my other videos, I'm going to compare specs for some of these similar machines, so you can see just how they compare in that regard. But I think what it comes down to is each brand who sells these machines kind of decide exactly what they want the specs to be, and the machines are built accordingly. But anyway, let's just start having a look at the specifics. One thing I'd like to point out is that Somin have gone over this. After I visited, they've gone over this and they've coated it with Cosmoline or a similar protective, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, it's stuff for me to clean off, but it just made sure that the thing wasn't going to tarnish while it waited for me to get through all the paperwork and for the short time in transit. So I am actually very appreciative of that. As you would expect, the machine comes with a follow rest and a steady rest. These are fairly basic in that they come with bronze bushings. Machine is based off of a 4 TPI lead screw, and I believe lead screws change based around power of the machine. My Grizzly was an 8 TPI, but that was only a 2-horse machine. This one is a 5 horsepower 3-phase machine, so has a lot more oomph to it, and that's why I'm hoping that I'll be able to at last take some reasonable cuts on material and hopefully actually form proper chips, get the best out of my insert tooling. Tool post that comes with it is your standard 4-sided tool post that seems to come on every machine. I have an Aloris quick change tool post on my Grizzly, which is the right size for this machine. So I'm never actually going to use this one. I'm going to swap that out and install my Aloris before I cut anything, before I even plug the machine in probably. Headstock end includes the splash guard. This is the only item actually that I think I'm slightly disappointed with. It's just a little bit chintzy. It's also too short. The thing about coolant is it goes everywhere as soon as it hits the jaws. So this really needs to be over here. I'm either going to make a better one or drill a couple of different holes in this and just move the guard over. That's probably what I'll do. In time I may just take the damn thing off, but having run coolant on my Grizzly, I know how it can go everywhere, so having the splash guard is potentially useful. But I can also see how might be beneficial to actually change the way this is mounted to give more clearance around this thing for when I'm running a faceplate. But all things to get into over time. Nevertheless, a splash guard is potentially worth having, but I may just completely change that arrangement. Okay, spindle is a D15 setup, so 6 keys to hold the chuck on. I'm stoked about that because I had a threaded spindle on my other machine and that was just kind of a nuisance. It's not that big of a deal to swap the chucks out, but they do not stay concentric very well. I'm hoping these will stay more concentric. This 3-jaw chuck, it's not an adjustable chuck, but it does have the 2-piece jaws, American standard, tongue and groove, and they are very snug. So this does seem to be a very high quality chuck. Very pleased about that. Bedways are 9.5 inches wide. That's a full 2 inches wider than the bed on the Grizzly, and I'm hoping for substantially improved rigidity on this machine. Certainly based on videos I've seen of a Precision Matthews PM 1440 GT, that was, which is the same bed, that was able to, I saw a guy taking 1/4 inch cuts on carbon steel with that with no problem whatsoever. So I have very high hopes for this. Crossslide and compound slide, not too much to say about these. They're, you know, it's very standard manual lathe setup. They feel absolutely silky smooth. It's just marvelous compared to the machine that I had. This lathe is equipped with a Crossslide DRO and also DRO on the saddle, and this is based on the latest Newell sensor arrangement, which can go to really quite amazing resolutions. I haven't checked the resolution on the X on this machine yet. I hope it's better than hope it's better than half a thou, but we'll find out. You can see here the coolant spout, as is normal on all of these machines. It's barely long enough to get where it needs to, so I'm probably going to add a right angle to this and bring the spout over to this point just to make it easier to flex. I may even get one of those nice braided metal hoses, but maybe not. There's no real need for one of those. But I do like the substantial on-off valve for it. At the back of the saddle, as you can see, we've got the taper attachment. I've never used one of those before. I've no idea how they work, but I'm very much looking forward to giving that a try. I have a job lined up, and I think that might be an ideal tool for it. So we'll be getting into that in a subsequent video. On top of the machine, the Newell NMS 800 digital readout. Have yet to power that up. Well, I powered it up at the dealer. Was too starstruck to pay too much attention to it, but looking forward to spending some time with that. And a halogen work light, so positioned nicely so that the DRO can hit it. I personally would have moved it this way a bit, but whatever, I think that's going to be fine. Time will tell where this needs to be, probably somewhere about there. Don't need that. Quick look at the business end, gearhead machine. I was very impressed with how smooth it ran when I tested it out, and at that time it was just mounted on top of a wooden pallet. I'm hoping that it will have even less bounce to it now that it's mounted on its cast iron feet properly. Anyway, let's take a look. Gearhead machine, 3 ranges, 4 speed changes. So the range is 50 RPM up to 2000 RPM. I ran it all the way up to 2000 and it sounded very nice, and nothing loose and shaking about and vibrating, unlike my other machine. Forward and reverse gear, coolant pump, light, and I guess that's the light switch that just tells you it's on. An emergency stop on the front, and then gear selectors for threading. And so here's the threading chart, and by use of change gears we can get a significant range of threads. Charts show these are the metric threads. Wait a minute, I'm off there. These are the metric threads, these are the inch threads, and then we have the different feed rates as well. What's behind the hood? Well, let's have a look. One of the things about this machine is that the spindle is a nice large diameter and the through hole is a 2-inch bore. Now, Precision Matthews like to claim on their website they're the only ones with a machine in this size with that size spindle bore, but actually that's not the case. But they might have been the first, I don't know, they may have been the first ones to import this kind of model, and now others have added it to their lineup. There we are. Cover includes a safety switch, and as you can see, everything's nice and clean back here, nice and tight, proper amount of backlash there, and there's the belt drive from the 5-horse motor. So not too much to see in here. This, I guess that's just a tie bar, anti-rotation bar, but everything is nice and clean and well set up. Well, while we continue the tour, let's have a quick look inside the electrical panel. Just to give you an idea what's going on in there. It's pretty simple stuff being a manual machine, but it's neatly done. It looks like a decent quality assembly. Well, quick look underneath. Monster 5-horse 3-phase motor. Looking forward to getting that going. Quick look behind the front panel underneath the headstock. Just the view of the motor from the front side. Another feature of this machine does feature a foot brake. Never used a lathe with a foot brake before, but seen some good reasons to have one of those. And at the tailstock end, I've just removed the access cover, and you can see this is the coolant tank and pump. Difficult to see what's going on there, but you can see the hose feeds up through the base and over to the carriage. Chip tray is accessed from the back side. You see plenty of capacity, and there's the coolant return drain. Well, that's it for this video. This was just an introduction to the machine. Have a look around. I can't power it up anyway because I haven't finished the 3-phase install, but I hope that was of some interest to you. Please join me again on the next video, at which point I will show the 3-phase converter setup, and we'll actually power up the machine, start cutting material, and see how it is. And part of that will be leveling the machine and getting it set up and checking centers and trueness and everything else that's critical for lathe operations. So hope this video was of some interest to you, and thanks again for subscribing. If you've not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Doesn't cost you anything, and it'll just help encourage me to keep the channel going. Anyway, thanks again. Appreciate you sticking with me through this video. Rather a lengthy one, but I feel it was a pretty decent introduction to this tool. All the very best. See you soon.